Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is another reading. I am going to try to make it a shorter reading, but I just read until I feel like the whole message is out there. I have to wake up in a couple hours, and I had to leave at like 5 a.m. to try to get to my work shift because I said I could help tomorrow, which I'm okay with. Um, but I am not asleep yet, but that's typical for me. I did get some decks out of the car. I'm actually just going to sort them quickly and put some back in my storage unit because I'm trying to take some decks as in one of my check-in luggages. I feel like I'm just gonna have like one check-in luggage that has those types of things with my knitting and tarot items, and I'm gonna try to consolidate them into one luggage. I did get one deck out, or two decks, I'm sorry, for this reading that was in storage, and it's the Earthside Divine Tarot and the Tree Angel Oracle deck. I thought that this would be a reading where I could just add decks that I haven't used in a while, and I feel like the Earthside Divine Tarot is one of my unique decks that I feel like it gives a different perspective, and it's a different type of art style because it's photography. It's also raining a lot right now. Sorry if you hear that in the background. Um, they might be doing something there too, but I really love the imagery. It just feels like it's unique for my readings because it is like a pure uplifting type of deck. And I'm not saying my other decks aren't, but I do have um, a type of style and energy that I normally go for. The Tree Angel Oracle deck, the one that I showed, is an interesting one too because for the angel decks that I have, it's unique in a way where it's really blunt, and I feel like that's more unusual for angel decks. So I'm going to start pulling out the cards, and I was asking if I should do a reading tonight. The card that came out is the Indigo and Crystal Children. Archangel Metatron, you have a bond with children. In particular, you can help children who are sensitive. I feel like it was an important thing too, um, for the groups that do watch because, and for some specific ones, I I feel like, especially during this time, not only in what goes on in the world, and also I feel like during this time, whether you believe that Mercury is in retrograde or in the microwave, it's just a lot of wild energy going all around. Some Spitfire energy, some things that are being said, some things that are not usually said but kind of get blurted out. Um, Decisions that are made pretty quickly. I feel like this is a good time to kind of slow your roll, and it's a good time to focus those energies and those mindsets and to really mean what you say. So sometimes that does take time to articulate or to put those thoughts and ideas into action, into a game plan. So you might have to really work those things out and to prioritize and to maybe take time and to think about the things that you're looking for in life. You know, this is like, it kind of feels a little amped up in it because it is like air and fire. And sometimes with air and fire, sometimes it doesn't know when to stop, like a tornado of fire. And you keep like pushing the air into it and it just keeps going and going. Um, it feels strong, um, heightened energy. So I'm gonna do this reading and get the cards out and I'll. It's a lot of heavy rain right now. It's interesting because uh, like I got a box. I got the tarot box out of my car and it looked like it was about to rain. As soon as I got in, it started pouring. And then I was about to leave because I went back to the basement room to drop off the box. And then when I got back upstairs to leave, it was pouring when I saw it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just ask my godmother for the luggage because she said that she had an extra luggage and she said that she had to clean it out. But then I ended up helping her with her printer for another thing because her phone wasn't connecting. Um, but I printed stuff out. I helped print stuff out the other day, and that took time. And by the time that was finished, the rain stopped, and now it's going again. So hopefully, I can get this reading um, out and that the electricity stays on for that. Otherwise, I might just post what I have, and maybe that's the message it was meant to that was meant to come out. I've noticed for these last readings, and I've done it like unintentionally, that the Glory to Ukraine tarot has been the main tarot for the reading because I have a spread that is the main spread that I do. You can't see it, but I'm just laying the cards out right now. I do feel like really like holding on type of energy. Not like you're determined to cling necessarily in a it feels like a stressful energy and you're trying to gather your strength together to keep going. And the Earth side Divine Tarot is just a favorite of mine. I love reading with this deck. I don't read a lot with it unless it's for these readings. The first card is Blackthorn, and I like to read from this book because they have really direct messages. And I feel like there's something that tries to break the concentration for some things. It's not like you're trying to break focus of something that you need to focus on, but if there's something that really stresses you out or something that really bothers you, then maybe you don't necessarily need to focus all your energy on that. There's something that just kind of like disarms that and just kind of offset that's energy. Like I'm not saying anyone's like a dog, but like when you're trying to break the concentration of like a dog, like to when you're training them to not do something. So I can't really see it, but Blackthorn is a guardian, a keeper of the shadows, and the holder of the darkest secrets. Now it is calling you, now it is time to take heart in towards the black door. The angel of the Blackthorn will give you the strength that you need to enter the shadow world. Over the past few centuries, Blackthorn has been confused with demonic forces, but this could not be further from the truth. It is the Blackthorn that holds these forces at bay. Only a completely pure being could stand beside the dungeon's gate without being harmed. The formidable Blackthorn thrives under the influence of Saturn that offers protection to many birds and with its dense growth and long thorns which can also pierce human flesh and sometimes cause infection. But in April, full of blossom and before the onset of green leaves, we see its graceful and delicate nature. The call of Blackthorn is always urgent. It indicates that you are on the threshold of a journey into the depths of your own shadows, and into your inner demons will seek to cloud your vision. But the blessing of this tree angel gives you the courage to look into the mirror of your soul. The angel protects you, allowing you to share its purity and innocence. You can choose whether to make this journey with or without the aid of a friend or a therapist. The angel's message is that its turning point has been reached. You can no longer ignore what you've tried to sweep under the carpet. The blackthorn promises inner victory, and the signs are looking good. Nothing can harm you in this journey with your light into the shadows, bringing healing and forgiveness to old wounds, and there's no need to fear evil. The only risk is that if you do nothing, your faults, weaknesses, the dark aspects of your soul, and so on, will be caught in the shadows longer, trapping your precious life force into a dark prison and holding it into limbo. Blackthorn helps us bring light in when there is darkness. Without it, darkness grows. It serves the balance of power. Without this gift, we lapse into lies and deceit, cowardice and cruelty, resulting in perversion and in humanity. And then it says, the worst dangers in the world are hidden inside you. Be aware of your shadow. Fear is the only source of power. Let your heart glow. Clothe yourself in white light and heal the wounds. Um, that was more intense than what I was going for, but it's it's the Tree Angel Oracle deck. It comes in full force with the readings. I'll say that. Okay. And the other one. Okay. So there's peace, Archangel Chamuel. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. And then these two, spread your wings, Archangel Ariel. Do not hold back right now. Your timing is perfect and you're ready to soar. And then overcoming difficulties, Archangel Jeremiel. The worst is now behind you and you're surmounting any previous challenges. Sorry. It's interesting. I was asking if I should take this deck out, and that's a card that I got. It's the King of Cups. And it does feel like calm within the storm. So that could be an important thing right now. That when everything gets revealed to you and everything just gets like pushed up against you, those forces, those things that you have to face head on at this point because it can't be ignored. It's good to have a calm demeanor and to really center yourself because um, it'll get difficult before it starts to be like smooth sailing. As it is like with the storms and in the card, there's like, was it boulders or like, boulders, Adrian? Like rocks on the shoreline. It's the Knight of Wands, the Hanged Man, which is interesting because 12 is also the 12 of the Blackthorn, and then the Moon card. So the Moon card really goes into like what the Blackthorn was saying because those hidden truths, and I was getting like hidden agendas too. Those things that maybe you put up for yourself as like a comfort or barrier is now being challenged to be taken down uh, with the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is kind of like standing at the door and being like, "Well, I'm ready," and trying to just dive in and go full force with it. This is like a kind of a swift movement that even if something does try to like go after like hit like the Knight of Wands is kind of like that energetic energy that you get um with that energy of fire from the wand suit. And then the Hanged Man too. The Hanged Man, I feel like it has to do with the preparation of it too. With the King of Cups, but I have these two cards up. So the Hanged Man and the Knight of Wands, but I really feel like the Hanged Man I feel like the Knight of Wands goes with the Moon card, and then the King of Cups goes with the Hanged Man. And both like aging energies too, like maturing, like things that over time you kind of like start to realize. Um, I feel like maybe the self actualization that I was talking about in another reading too, that I feel like one of the things that was given to me a lot as a response to like, I don't know if it was necessarily like a love response, but I would be given something to do with like something like a gift or like money. And um, from then it kind of turned into a comfort. So I even from like right now, and recently, like I know right now, I would do this thing where I would have so much stuff on my bed, not like one or two things. Like I would pile of stuff on my bed. And especially like if I had a full size mattress or a queen size mattress, um, I would just line my stuff up as if it was like a person, and that would be like my comfort. And I was just, that's how I would sleep. And then now I'm on a twin size right now, and I still have a lot of stuff on my bed. I guess I don't move a lot when I sleep, but that just kind of is comforting to me because this stuff is something that I liked it that I like and enjoy. That it makes me happy to an extent. I will say that as much stuff that I like feel like stuff that I get comfort from, I feel like I have lost a lot of stuff in moves because I've moved a lot over the years. But the stuff that I've lost, most of it, I kind of just accepted and immediately like, okay, well, that's what happened. I lost my stuff, but I just have to keep going because it's not like I can just get the stuff back. Usually, sometimes like they just magically come back. But um occasionally I do have those things where I actually was like, that's kind of sentimental to me, or I actually like really liked that thing. But over time, it's like it's okay. Another King of Cups from the Slavic Legends Tarot. Sorry, just gotta stretch a little bit. But this King of Cups, he has horns, but it feels like not using them, if that makes sense. Like, you know how maybe a bull would just like go head on with it? And I was saying head on with the Knight of Wands too, even though that's a different element and card, but still with the horns. I feel like with the King of Cups, there's a sense of maybe somebody got under your skin or like agitated you, but it wasn't enough where you were able to just kind of like balance that out or counteract that by not responding in a way that would kind of affect the way that you are as a person. Like you didn't have to give up yourself to react to it. Because sometimes maybe you do things out of spite or anger, and after all that, those couple of seconds, you know that they weren't that much worth your time. Or um, so, and I wasn't saying that with like the King of Cups, and this one is holding a cup. It just reminded me I might have to actually leave earlier because I try to get like a drink for the ride, and I've been pretty careful with what type of food I'm eating and drinking and the drink that I have in the car because I don't want to mess up my car. I just got it cleaned. And just remembering that type of self care. And that's also a planning thing too because I try not to hit myself with like something that is super caffeinated. If I'm taking this long drive, I honestly don't really want to spend money on a hotel room if I can. So I just want to make it a 1 day trip, but I am working a full shift and I am driving a couple hours to do this for, reasons that, uh, even though the owner said that she would, have my back and if they ask for the visa application, I still will just go in here and there. Um, but like that night, when I'm coming back, I will probably get something that will keep me more awake because it's going to be a long day and I have to go to my storage unit after work too. So it's the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands, like I said, with so much going on, the Ten of Wands doesn't make it better and it kind of gives that validation and indication that there is a lot. And especially with the Moon card, there's a lot to uncover with that too, or a lot to like actually address because there's just so much that has been like put off, and at this point, you can't put it off anymore. Because if it does have to do with the relationship, then you are bringing that excess energy or honestly the dirty laundry from your past. It doesn't have to necessarily be completely linked to a past relationship, but maybe there's still something that really bothers you or there's something that you really, really need to heal from. I'm not saying that you're gonna heal like in an instant. I'm not saying that you need to heal in an instant, but to actually put the effort towards doing those things. Because, like, if you're going into a relationship in the future, you don't want to cause pain or hurt, especially if you knew what it felt like, and you don't want to do that to somebody that you really care for and love. So, overcoming those things is definitely something that is surfacing. And there's just like a pureness that comes out of it too. Because maybe that's something just like hit you in the sweet spot of your heart, I guess, where you're like, I really need to do these things because, um, like this person or this moment in life or this dream that I have is worth it for me to actually change the trajectory of where it would have been headed if I kept going at this pace. There are a couple of core cards in here, like there was in the last reading. So I do feel like there has been like effects of maybe people of what they said or what they've done, or just the extra stuff from the Ten of Wands, or maybe trying to alleviate the burdens of other people, but you're taking on so much that it's hard for you to manage what you're doing yourself. The Page of Swords is in the present position for the Glory to Ukraine Tarot. I will say that that's where I think like the Spitfire energy is coming from. Um, just using that gun and like really just shooting out those words. I do feel that maybe just internalizing something and then realizing how we're externalizing it is something to think about because I don't think you're trying to hurt the people or like really trying to like air yourself out by like destroying everything else. Um So you're gonna maybe try to neutralize that at the very least, and to rebalance and to recalibrate to make sure that um, your energy just kind of centers itself again before trying to put itself out there. I know it's a little difficult, like, and me, sorry, just talking from some experience because I am grateful for being able to stick around and not to be too stressed out about the other things, although there are lots of things that I have to do. Um, I will say that I have been like a hermit for a long time and I haven't had to live with anybody and the few exceptions would be like kind of companionship because I was like I don't know if that's for a lot of people, but the Libra in me, I'm just kind of like that and I'm not used to like a lot of things in my space. So it's definitely something that I kind of step back from. And if I do get agitated, I like sometimes I feel like I am when I start to get irritated, I just have to like step out and just not take it out on anything or anybody because it's mainly just not trying to harm anybody in that way. And even when someone does say something that like gets under my skin, sometimes I'm like, Adrian, you know how you could be. As my cousin says, he's like, "'Cause you're a fighter." Um, but it was more in like the context of like you can get through stuff. Like, um, once you've been through hardships, that you feel like you can get through anything. At least that's what I feel the given is, or a good lesson in life is once you get like through the darkest or hardest times of your life, it just feels like anything else, even though like it's still difficult too. I'm not saying that it's going to be easier, it's going to be harder. The fact of the matter is, you've done it before, you could do it again. And sometimes it takes time. It definitely takes willpower, consistency, being able to sustain yourself. But I feel like you just wear a hat. You wear this hat one time, you wear this hat another time, or like maybe you're wearing multiple hats, and where you have to figure stuff along the way. Um, but there is a little bit of a sense of excitement, at least for me, and I know I could say that I'm not going through like super traumatizing stuff, but to each their own too. Like I don't like comparing anybody else's life experiences to somebody else's life experiences. Just as if like if somebody was more affected by this or but another person might say, I don't know why you're affected by that so much because I wasn't affected by that so much. I'm not trying to invalidate anybody's experiences, but another court card because there's a couple of court cards as I said. The King of Cups came out twice, and you have the Knight of Wands, you have the Page of Swords. The obstacle is the Knight of Pentacles, and then the future is the Queen of Wands, which is good for this time of the year, especially being in heavy Leo season. And then I keep saying with the Mercury retrograde, but I'm really seeing it right now. So the Knight of Pentacles for the obstacle is trying to move forward and trying to honestly, um, I know Pentacles and keeping the faith isn't necessarily something that's completely combined, but there's so much that is surrounding it, and I feel like it makes it seem like with the Knight of Pentacles, it's like kind of that faithful servant, and making sure that it kind of stays, um, that energy kind of stays there and sustains for the things to come. So the Knight of Pentacles going with the King of Cups, I feel like would be a combination that would be helpful during this time too, although um, there's there's just a lot going on in the mind with the Page of Swords. And with the Page of Swords, I'm also going to say that maybe there are some thoughts or things that are said, and that's where I would say like to be careful, but not knowing the whole story. Like maybe somebody, and I'm not saying me, well, I'll just say like the roles could be reversed, but I'm not really seeing that. But like if somebody talks like hardcore shit about something, like hardcore shit about you, and they have no idea what happens, what you've been through that time that they were specifically talking about, they don't know the story because they weren't there. So that's another thing of why like keeping your composure is good too, because like if you argue, especially, I'm not saying maybe there's a narcissist, and again, I'm not giving like medical advice, or I'm not like um, trying to label people in that way, because again, this isn't medical advice or me invest like making this video as that, but certain things like why argue with like a narcissist or anything. And there are videos, and they said I like to watch uh, Dr. Ramani for those narcissistic videos of like those approaches and what to do and things that like can be done and things to consider and how to kind of like avoid those situations if you can, and or how to face them if you're kind of in those situations already. Those are important things. Then you have how to overcome the obstacle. It does feel like it's a bigger picture that comes with this because the overall energy is a world card. And I feel like the trident kind of goes with like the King of Cups too. I feel like I have seen tridents in a couple of King of Cups. And you just see like the water in the cup is all filled. And I know like, well, Adrian, it's in a cup. Why wouldn't it be still? Well, there's a lot of different interpretations of the King of Cups. There are different ways to battle the storm. That the how to overcome the obstacle, and again, the obstacle is the Knight of Pentacles, is the Eight of Wands. For some reason, like, well, not because of the image, but just because of like the way that the Knight of Wands is, it's kind of like coming in, or it's kind of like shots fired, or just like energy just like coming at you, and that kind of goes with the Page of Swords too. I feel like those kind of go hand in hand. But with the Eight of Wands, it's knowing where to aim. And also the type of recovery that you get, like with the Eight of Wands and the World card, how to alleviate those struggles. I know there's like um, some ways that the earth tries to heal itself. Like if you think about different nuclear disasters, there is one really prevalent one, which is not coming to mind, but I'm sure people will be yelling at me saying like what that site is. Um, but there are mushrooms there, or different types of plant that try to absorb the, I believe it's the radiation, or like the toxicity in the earth, and that would help the earth be healthier. because it's absorbing those things that it's, it doesn't want to have. And I'm sorry for the terrible explanation of that, but hopefully it got that point across too. Of That's also quick healing from the Page of Swords. Because the Page of Swords, it feels like there was stuff that was said or stuff that was done. Um, Maybe like shots fired in a way where either they said it and it was really like insensitive or rude in a way, or it was said or things were like discussed or decided on without maybe you knowing or without like your consent. Um, but a decision was made nonetheless, and that's also something that you're trying to work with too. The past is the Three of Swords, which honestly I feel like that's a good past card because it's not in the future card. Because in the future card you have the Queen of Wands. Because in the Three of Swords you're really focused on that pain. Because with the Two of Swords you have maybe trusting somebody else's judgment or making a decision or like using some type of discernment. Three of Swords is like something that really turned the tables and not in a good way. People call it the heartbreak card, but that is really something that is so surface level and it's a swords card. So when they say that, it kind of like, I mean, I get what you're trying to get at, but I feel like there's more that just meets the eye with this. But it feels like a destructive card, and honestly, it could be like a depressing card. Really not so great thoughts that you get from it. And with the King of Cups that's present in both these uh, decks, the Earthside Divine Tarot and the Slavic Legends Tarot, I honestly feel like they're two separate energies. So I feel like maybe two energies are kind of on the same page of like what has happened and what's being done and what can be done. Um, Not the greatest decision, but being able to come out of this with the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands just kind of like picks herself back up again and starts living life to the fullest. So I'll just pull out one more card and I'll try to sleep. I'm so sorry. Um, that's what I thought. I was like looking at the card, and it's an extra card in this deck because it's card number 22, Earthside Divine. And it has words on it saying authentic, aligned, inspired, internal. Genuine. So I feel like it really is such a good card to end on. It feels like it's coming back to self. And since I was looking at the card at the bottom, that is the Page of Cups. I feel like this really opens up the heart based off of like the King of Cups too. And with the Three of Swords in the past, it's like it kind of feels like it's your turn because like the hopes or the fears even that you hung on to with the Three of Swords, and it turns out that like I'm not saying it was destroying you because the Three of Swords is like intense as it I feel like it's made out to be. It's just the Three of Swords, and I'm not trying to. That was like not an invalidating thing, but when you think about like the whole cycle and the grand scheme of things, that this moment in time, it you'll look back on it and it won't be as intense as you thought it was like right now, like 6 months into it, when you're finally allowing your heart to like open up and to flourish and to be a little lotus heart and to make sure that you're allowing love to come into it because maybe there was a closed off energy because of being so jaded by the Three of Swords, thinking that maybe something was something, and then maybe another person was like getting the impression that it was something else, or maybe it is being on the same page and being patient with those things and being open. And with both of the King of Cups, it could be, it doesn't have to be gender specific, but you can read it as like those genders, that both of them are opening up and letting each other into their heart spaces. I will say one of the King of Cups is also the Queen of Wands. Um, I feel like the Page of Swords is external, but you can read it for what it is. Knight of Pentacles can also be one of the King of Cups too. Knight of Wands is one of the King of Cups. I feel like it has to do with the Queen of Wands with the Knight of Wands. I'm sorry if I said Knight of Wands with the Queen of Wands. It kind of like moves up in that way. Again, doesn't have to be gender specific. And maybe both with the Moon card, both addressing things. And maybe coming to terms with like with the King of Cups, it could also be read as like we both want this, we're trying to like figure things out, but there's like the understanding that um this is what we have to deal with, so we have to deal with it because it keeps coming up and it can't just like be avoided. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.